One of Pawn Stars' finest features was its rotating cast of visitors and experts, which added legitimacy to the show's assertions. Rebecca Romney was a rare book specialist who stood out among the others. She immediately won over show viewers with her witty opinions and endearing demeanor. However, she abruptly left the show after a number of seasons and episodes. Many fans were perplexed by this and wondered what had happened to her. There are numerous theories as to why she left. Was there something else going on behind the camera, or did she actually make that decision? We must learn the truth about Rebecca Romney's disappearance from Pawn Stars. See what she's been up to since she lost her fame by checking back with us. When History Channel's Pawn Stars, a television program about a typical pawn shop, debuted in 2009, it quickly rose to prominence. Millions of viewers watched each program. Although the Harrison family, who owned the store and were heavily involved in the show, were well known to many viewers, little was known about their guest experts. And until some of these guest experts had a lasting influence, it wasn't a huge deal. Among them was Rebecca Romney. After she consistently used her expertise in rare and old books to benefit the shop employees, the store itself, and its patrons, she quickly gained popularity. Fans were soon itching to find out more about their favorite guest star. Rebecca was born and raised in the Las Vegas region, according to someone who checked into it. She had always loved to read, but her first job was teaching swimming. She claims that she entered the rare book sales industry by accident. In high school, she started studying Japanese and French. She then attended college and studied Latin and ancient Greek. She holds degrees in language and ancient studies. Despite their extensive academic background, it was unrelated to the rare book industry. In the mid-2000s, her first position in the rare book industry was at Bauman Rare Books in Las Vegas. She got access to several rare books, manuscripts, and historical documents because the company had recently created a new location there. Such opportunities would have been difficult to come by elsewhere. During a Q&A, Rebecca stated, "The company I work for, Bauman Rare Books, is the real support behind what I do. They have offices in New York and Philadelphia and have been in business for a long time. Some of us make a living by constantly purchasing books. Running the Las Vegas gallery and selling rare books is my actual work. I don't make a living doing it. I'm already too busy managing the store." Within a few years, Rebecca was promoted to show manager. She was already well known for her role when the folks at Pawn Stars contacted her. Being one of the few female experts on the show, Rebecca created history. She was calm and intelligent, had a keen eye for detail, and was well versed in literature, which set her apart from the other experts and the rest of the group. Her full name is Rebecca Angeline Neat, however she rarely discusses her personal life. She doesn't discuss her family or current residence too often. Her work, however, continues to speak for itself. Her perseverance propelled her forward, despite the fact that she began her adventure with a degree unrelated to rare books and an impromptu introduction to their world. Rebecca even attended a rare book school to learn more. She advanced swiftly from salesman to gallery manager to senior director at Bauman Rare Books as a result of this. She will always be recognized for her presence on Pawn Stars and her special talents. She added something new to the field in which she was an expert as well as to the appearance of other returning professionals. Fans are still curious about her whereabouts and what happened to her. Rebecca initially appeared on television in the 4th season of Pawn Stars in the early 2010s. She went on to become one of the most popular expert guests on the show. Even after her final performance in the mid-2010s, people would continue to remember her appearances for a very long time. However, she was responsible for more than just evaluating the used books that entered the store. What led her to join Pawn Stars? We must examine the show's initial operation in order to respond to that query. Filmed in Las Vegas, the show featured actual people bringing unique or rare items to the gold and silver pawn shop for appraisal or sale. The most common item brought in was still jewelry, but the show gained popularity by emphasizing unique historical artifacts. Each episode frequently included background information on these topics, which was typically provided by Rick or his father. However, there were occasions when Rick and the group were unsure of how to assign a rating. If this occurred, they would seek the assistance of independent specialists to determine its value and authenticity. This gave the shop and the performance a more respectable and professional appearance. It also increased the likelihood that people would trust the procedure they seen on television. Even the cost of fixing problems would be considered by specialists when determining final estimates. Rebecca entered the picture at this point. Rebecca stood out among the many guest experts on the show. She was far more knowledgeable than that. She was also excellent on camera, which was perfect for the show's concept. She already knew Rick Harrison personally, which contributed to the success of her performance. They were already acquainted before she appeared on camera. Indeed, these two were acquainted before to the performance. It just served to unite them from that point on. Her words, "We are actually friends." After we finished filming the show and had some free time, we went on double dates and other activities. The majority of the time, however, I come in to shoot, which could be 3 times a week or once a month, she added. I do sometimes do consulting work for Rick behind the scenes. When they find a book they wish to shoot with will determine this. And before the shooting begins, she is informed about the nature of the book when it is brought in. However, she rarely notices it until she arrives at work and the tape begins to play. Fans enjoyed this because it made the show seem more authentic. As a result, her thoughts and feelings on television were frequently quite real. However, things may change quickly in the entertainment industry, and occasionally the item isn't even what she was told it was. Rebecca responded to this by saying, "There are millions of books out there for me. I do not recall every detail of every book, but I do recall a significant portion of them." Knowing where to go for trustworthy information is another aspect of being an expert in that industry, as any expert will tell you. Therefore, I usually need to know anything before I leave. Even though Romney is not employed by the show, this is still the case. As a guest expert, she is contacted in advance. She claims she can't just drop everything and go to the art gallery anytime she wants because she works there full-time. She added that she occasionally offered Rick advice behind the scenes. However, she mostly only attended a few shows. It wasn't by accident that Rebecca ended up on Pawn Stars. It was made possible by a natural fit for TV, solid working relationships, and real-life experience. She became one of the most well-known experts in the show's lengthy history because it was more engaging and credible with her on it. Because of her extensive knowledge of rare books, documents, and manuscripts, Rebecca excelled in Pawn Stars. She contributed significantly to the show's enjoyment factor because of her unique abilities, which gave it something extra. During her lengthy tenure on the show, Rebecca gained notoriety for her ability to evaluate pricey and rare books, particularly those from the 15th to the 20th centuries. Her well-considered views demonstrated that she was an expert in her field. However, a lot of her followers were wondering if her appearances on the show were real or phony because reality TV can sometimes feel staged. At that time, the show was embroiled in a major scandal that prevented it from continuing. Many claimed that the entire performance was staged. A fan was once chosen to appear on the show as an extra. He claimed that filming his portion took about an hour and that multiple parts had to be res-hot. They brought that cool museum guy in to make sure the piece was real, he stated. They did reshoot some of the chats, despite the fact that it didn't appear to be terribly scripted. In the end, the girl who had the item decided against selling it. She didn't just show there that day, of course, but nobody seemed to have a plan either. Evidently, this fan attested to the fact that the show was real, despite what several others said. This fan's story also demonstrated that while filming requires time to organize, producers may ask the vendor to return at a later time if they discover anything intriguing that they want to air on television. Then, there might be ordinary folks there who are only interested in making purchases when they go to see the movie. People like that feel frightened since they may appear tense because they are likely to be on camera for the first time. You may need to try more than once to get it correctly. Although it doesn't happen very often, there have been a few items removed from the show because the seller was unable to execute them on camera. Another excellent point was made by the show's executive producer, Brent Montgomery, who stated that buyers were screened before appearing on Pawn Stars. Behind closed doors, we need to be sure that these people will actually sell the items at a fair price. If they don't, they're just trying to be on TV. We were able to figure that out quite easily. When viewers questioned whether the spectacle was phony, she also spoke up. They are still a pawn shop that works. They still buy and sell other items, even if they now have swag in half of the room. I've never been in an expert setting where the vendor or the item was planted, as far as I'm aware. For most folks, that seemed to resolve the claims. Along with the money they were earning, the show's cast members became well-known and became reality TV stars. The deaths were detrimental to the Pawn Stars cast. Chum Lee, who was a buddy of Corey Harrison and appeared on the show alongside him, was well-liked. He made the role more entertaining to watch by bringing humor and an intriguing personality to it. However, he quickly found himself in a lot of legal trouble after being charged with sexual assault. In addition, they discovered a gun and several drugs when they searched his home for case-related evidence. After being apprehended, he was accused of 19 drug offenses and 1 firearm possession allegation. He was had to post bail of over $60,000. However, months after his imprisonment, the Pawn Stars player struck a deal with detectives. The agreement, which was facilitated by the fact that, despite a thorough investigation, there was no evidence of the sexual assault complaint against him, saved him from going to jail. 2 years later, 10 years into Pawn Stars, old man Richard Harrison passed away at the age of 77 following a protracted battle with Parkinson's disease. 5 years after the death of his grandfather, Corey Harrison found himself in legal hot water. He was stopped for DUI early on September 8, 2023, when his Ford pickup moved from the right-hand lane to the bike lane. Police said that Corey's eyes were drooping, watery, and bloodshot when they pulled him over. In addition, he failed a field sobriety test and had an alcoholic odor. However, it all seemed insignificant as Rick had to cope with a second tragedy after losing Corey's brother, Adam Harrison. Adam Harrison was found dead at a guest home in mid-January 2024, according to a police report. The report stated that Adam had been missing for several days. Adam was not answering when the owner checked on him at his guest house as a result of this. Because of all these negative things that were happening, fans were afraid for other Pawn Stars, such as Rebecca, who was showing up on the show less and less. She left the show after this episode. Field Trip was its title, and it debuted in 2014 during the 9th season. She never appeared on the show again after that. Because she was a well-known specialist, this naturally sparked a lot of curiosity. The fact that Rebecca and the filmmakers never gave an explanation for her departure was more weirder. People became even more curious as a result of this ignorance, which fueled additional conjecture and speculation. Her pals speculated that she might have lost her job. Others wanted to know whether there had been any issues with other people in the group. People are only speculating as to what might have happened, though, and the true reason she left is still unclear. One idea makes sense even though there was no formal word. Rebecca most likely left the show in order to advance in her career. The Las Vegas-based Bauman Rare Books announced her departure and stated she had taken a new position in their Philadelphia office. Given that Pawn Stars is filmed there, the move would have made it difficult for her to continue making appearances on the show. This theory is supported by the timeline on her LinkedIn page, which indicates that she moved employment at the same time she left the show. She might continue to communicate with the Pawn Stars group, but it's unclear. Their current relationship is unknown to the general public. Although there have been no public appearances or indications that Rebecca and Rick Harrison are still in contact, many are aware that they were friends in real life. Fans are still unsure of Rebecca's current affiliation with the Pawn Stars group. Rebecca's career at Bauman Rare Books had advanced rapidly. After working directly for Natalie Bauman, who co-founded Bauman Rare Books, she was eventually promoted to a more senior position with greater responsibility. Before making a significant change in 2016, she was a director at Bauman. She left the company to work for a rare book company called Honey and Wax. She wrote an online article about some of her favorite Honey and Wax books in late 2018. Among these were a French translation of Edgar Allan Poe's oeuvre and a Black Orpheus periodical. Her decision to leave Bauman was a significant one, albeit it's still unclear why. However, in the middle of 2019, she also left Honey and Wax. The rationale was more obvious then. She aspired to launch and manage her own rare book business. That is what Type Punch Matrix, a business in Washington, D.C., does, where Rebecca currently resides. By being cautious and kind, the company shows that it cares about making the rare book industry a more fascinating and contemporary place. Before launching her own company, Rebecca worked independently on several projects from about 2016 to 2017. Her passion for rare books guided her at every turn. Rebecca operated the Biblioclast show with her husband, J. Romney, P. The discussions were frequently lively and enjoyable, and they were able to discuss their love of literature on the show. They occasionally even disagreed slightly on many literary subjects. Even after Rebecca left Pawn Stars and her other rare book employment, her career in the rare book industry continued to expand. She appeared in the well-known 2019 documentary The Booksellers. The lives of those who purchase, sell, and preserve rare and antique books were examined in this film. It was screened at a number of significant international film festivals. Her role in the film was well received by viewers. She was even dubbed the cheerful optimist of books for the film by Variety magazine. Rebecca continues to work diligently on rare book projects. Through her company, Type Punch Matrix, her podcast, and other endeavors, she continues to be a powerful voice in the rare book industry. Her desire to preserve and disseminate rare books and papers is one of her motivations. Her expertise and enthusiasm continue to inspire book lovers and collectors around the globe. The details of Rebecca's private life are best kept under wraps. Although she has accounts on social media sites like Instagram and Twitter, she rarely shares private information there. Her marital status with J is one of her well-known characteristics. P is the author of The Monster on the Road Is Me. Romney, a writer of books. According to the book-focused website Fierce Reads, the couple has 2 children. Not surprisingly, Rebecca has also authored novels that we can read. She and her husband wrote a novel jointly called Printer's Error. They both obviously have a strong love for reading, which is most likely what first drew them together. Prominent publications including The Washington Post and The New York Times commended their collaboration. Even though it covered difficult subjects, the book was commended for being enjoyable to read and simple to comprehend. Rebecca co-wrote this book and has published other tales for reputable journals and websites. She taught people new things by writing about valuable and rare books on the Bauman Rare Books blog. Additionally, her work has appeared on well-known websites including Mental Floss, Literary Hub, and Crime Reads. There, she provided readers with knowledgeable guidance and held their interest with her extensive literary expertise. Rebecca has also worked in the book industry behind the scenes. She has written book introductions and assisted with book editing. This demonstrates her versatility and the extent to which she works on many aspects of book writing and research. Many people want to know whether Rebecca is related to U.S. Senator Mitt Romney is one of them. Sure, but only if you marry someone. J is the spouse of Rebecca. One member of the Romney family and a politician is John P. Romney. However, in contrast to certain other family members, J.P. has changed his mind and is not seeking public office. However, Rebecca's skills extend far beyond her ability to read and write. Her ability to speak and comprehend a wide variety of languages is truly remarkable. She is fluent in Greek, French, Latin, and Japanese. In addition, she is currently studying Old English, which is notoriously difficult. Her proficiency in multiple languages allows her to read rare and old books in their original language rather than utilizing translations, which is helpful for her work. She now comprehends the texts and their meaning on a deeper and better level. If you enjoy reading, you may be curious in the types of novels Rebecca enjoys. Rebecca enjoys reading a wide variety of books. She enjoys science fiction, romance, and adventure. Rebecca just appeared on the YouTube account of Case Western Reserve University. She discussed rare books and provided fascinating information about old book myths throughout this show. Given that she now resides in Philadelphia, it appears that Rebecca is experimenting with many aspects of her life. Although many fans would really like to see her return to the show, it doesn't appear that will happen anytime soon. However, if you still wish to benefit from her extensive expertise in rare books, there is good news. Rebecca appears on several shows and frequently speaks at universities. Through these public appearances and films, she continues to share her passion for rare books with more people. Rebecca is also active on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platforms. On these websites, she occasionally shares news about her work, her company, and her favorite books. This enables her followers to continue interacting with her and gaining knowledge from her. Her journey from Pawn Stars to launching her own rare book business demonstrates her work ethic and enthusiasm. She never stopped loving what she did, even when she wasn't on Pawn Stars. She continues to be a well-known voice in her industry. Intelligent, considerate, and subtly strong. Through her writing, public speaking, and business, Rebecca continues to bring rare books to life. She adored it from the start.